season is over. It's done. It's dusted. And it's time to see who goes on to the divisional rounds. Somebody's going to be facing the Packers. Somebody's going to be facing the Titans. So I'm using this playoffpredictors.com website. This is the website that I used to make my initial regular season predictions. And we're getting into it here. As you can see across the top, we have some other websites that I'm going to be using to assist me in making these decisions. But I want you guys to know that I am making all of these predictions right here on the fly with the help of these websites I have up here and then my own intuition. I haven't, thought of these predictions or done them beforehand. I'm doing them live. We'll do it live. And our first matchup, we have the New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. Now I have this website called the Football Database, and this shows the historic records. Every single game played between the Patriots and the Bills. But the ones we care about are the two from this season. First matchup of the season between the Patriots and the Bills, it was a Patriots victory, 14-10. But their second matchup of the season was a 33-21 victory for the Bills, and that was when they grabbed that first seed in the AFC East and never looked back. Now, a couple of things stand out to me immediately on this list. The game that the Patriots won was a low-scoring game. They only won by 4 points, and Josh Allen was held to only one touchdown. He didn't do too much, but he also didn't throw any interceptions, which is good. Only 145 yards, and that was the game that Mac Jones only threw for 19 yards and 3 attempts in that thing, the whole 1920s offense, whatever the joke was. Having some Diet Coke. Don't drink your calories, folks, unless you want to. Who cares? But the game that the Bills won, they won by 12. Mac Jones threw 2 picks in that game, and Josh Allen went off 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, right? So the combined total between the two games for these two teams this season is 31 points for the Patriots, 47 points for the Bills. So they've outscored them by 14. That's 2 touchdowns over this entire season. They've put up way more yards than them. Actually, I think this is a little bit of a different way to look at it. The Bills are 11-6-0. The Patriots are 10-7-0, so similar records. Buffalo has they're 7th in yards per game. They have almost 30 more yards per game. They have more passing yards. They have more rushing yards, although it's very close. It's only 3.4 more yards, so to me that's a wash. They score more points per game, 1.2 more points, but that's it. And their third down percentage is better. Their third, New England is 10th. Defensive stats, the Buffalo Bills have the best yards per game rating on defense in the league, but New England is third. New England still has a very good, formidable defense. Passing yards, they're 1 and 2, that's intense. This is actually a really good matchup. Rushing yards, it's like 20, it's like 8. I don't want to do math. It's only 8 a.m. I'm not going to do math, but the Buffalo Bills are slightly rushing yards. But when it comes to points per game, they're 1-2. Third down percentage, they're 1-5. So this is just an overall, I feel like, a very close matchup. But I do have to give the edge to the Buffalo Bills in this. If it's a defensive game, if it's a low-scoring game, I think the Patriots win. Like, if the combined total for the game is under 30 points between the two teams, so like, combine the score of the two teams together at the end of the game, if that number is under 30, I think that will mean that the Patriots won. Let me make sure I'm recording here. Okay. That'll mean that the Patriots won. But if this is a more wide open game, if we're going over 30 combined points, I think it's going to be the Bills. And I do think this is going to be close. But I have to give the edge to the Buffalo Bills. Alright. Then we get rid of this one. And we have the Raiders versus the Bengals. But let's reset this. Okay. How do I do this? Hold on, let me just go back a little bit. Okay, so we have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's show those games. They only had one game against each other this season, which is this one right here. So this is all we have to go off of in this regard. The Bengals won their only matchup against the Raiders this season, 32-13. So they won by 19 points. Just absolutely creamed them. Joe Burrow put up 148 yards. Derek Carr put up 215 yards. So I think they actually had pretty comparable stats in that game. The difference obviously came on the rush. 123 yards compared to 37. So that was obviously your big. Wait, can I get more into this here? Oh, I can. This is too much information. I don't need all this. But they're one. The important part is that they're one matchup. The Bengals did win in very convincing fashion. Looking at this, they have the exact same record, 10-7-0, both of the teams. Yards per game, Bengals have a slight edge. Passing yards, that goes to the Raiders. Rushing yards, that goes to the Bengals, like 8 points higher, or an average of 8 more yards rushing. Points per game, the Bengals blow them out of the water. They have 5.1 more points per game. That's just under an extra touchdown per game for the Bengals compared to the Raiders. It's almost 2 field goals. That's actually a better way to look at it. Third down percentage goes to the Bengals. Yards per game, total yards per game on defense, that's going to the Raiders. Passing yards, that goes to the Raiders. But now rushing yards, that goes to the Bengals. So the Bengals are really good at shutting down the rush, but they can't shut down the pass as well. And you have the inverse happening in Las Vegas. They're better at shutting down the receiving lane, stuff like that. Points per game, opponents facing the Bengals score 3 fewer points compared to the Raiders. And third down percentage, the Bengals actually allow more third down conversions than the Raiders do. And then let's go. Actually, I want to look at something. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're coming in on a 1-game losing streak, but that's because they sat Burrow. And the Raiders, they're coming out on a 4-game winning streak. A 4-game win streak for the Raiders. I mean, Derek Carr, that yardage, the Raiders put up a lot of yardage, and the Bengals do have a hard time stopping the pass game, according to the stats. The Bengals are younger. I also think they have a healthier, more complete squad. Obviously, the Raiders have had a lot of issues this season with personnel. They're missing some key guys, and the team has had a lot of shakeups this season. Obviously, there's been a lot of news stories surrounding the Las Vegas Raiders this season. A lot of negative attention. Meanwhile, I think the Bangles, I think they could have better chemistry. I think their locker room might be a little bit more cohesive compared to the Raiders. Man, that's tough. I'm gonna give the edge to the Bengals. But now I have to pick one. I feel like whichever one I pick, this one's gonna be wrong. Like, I almost feel like this game is a little bit of a coin flip, but I'm gonna go Bengals. Alright, I'm gonna go Bengals. Now we have the Chiefs versus the Steelers. Let's go Chiefs. Let's go Steelers. And let's show their scoreboards. They only had one game this season. The Chiefs blew them out by 26 points, 10-36 final score. Patrick Mahomes, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ben Roethlisberger, 159 yards, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. And that was the day after Christmas, so that was actually a fairly recent game. Looking at the matchup here, yards per game, Kansas City is 3rd, Pittsburgh is 25th. Passing yards there, Kansas City is 4th, Pittsburgh is 15th. Rushing yards, the Chiefs are 16th, the Steelers are 29th. Points per game, the Chiefs are 4th, and the Steelers are 21st. The Chiefs score more than 1 touchdown per game more than the Steelers, exactly 8 more points per game on average for the Chiefs. Third down percentage, Kansas City is the best in the league. They convert more than half of their first downs. Now, when it comes to the passing game, the Steelers are better at shutting it down compared to the Chiefs, but the Steelers are the worst team in the league when it comes to allowing rushes. And when you have a guy like Tyreek Hill, you can see right here, ran for over 1,200 yards this season and has 9 touchdowns. This rushing yards number could be a big issue. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs convert a lot of third downs, but they also give up a lot of them. Meanwhile, the Steelers are pretty good at stopping them. I want to say this is going to be close, but in my heart, I don't really think it is. I think there is some nice storyline type things around the idea of Ben Roethlisberger maybe being able to go into the playoffs and make some noise before he retires, but I just don't foresee the Steelers being able to stop the Chiefs' offense. Now, obviously, TJ Watt is kind of the X factor in this matchup. If TJ Watt can shut down Mahomes somehow, I think the Steelers have a chance. But I think even if TJ Watt has a really big impact on this game, it is still the Chiefs to win. Or it's the Chiefs to lose, rather. Even if TJ Watt, going 110%, you still have to favor the Chiefs in that matchup. So I'm picking the Chiefs. And if my corrections hold, then in the AFC, the divisional round would be the Bengals versus the Titans and the Bills versus the Chiefs. And in my opinion, if these are the games we get, then those are going to be really awesome, exciting games. Very exciting games. But now we move over to the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Dallas Cowboys. San Francisco 49ers. There we go. Let's show the scoreboard. Okay, they did not play each other at all this interesting. So we don't have any head-to-head stats from this season to go off of between those two teams. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys ended with a better record than the 49ers. They were first in their division, and they are on a 1-game win streak. The 49ers are on a 2-game win streak. Dak Prescott has massively overperformed Jimmy Garoppolo this season. 17 more touchdowns, like 500. No, for that 600 more yards. And Dallas Cowboys, they are first in the league for yards per game. San Francisco is 8th. Passing yards, they're tied for 2nd in the league. San Francisco is down in 12th. But San Francisco does have better rushing. However, Ezekiel Elliott is back and healthy coming into the playoffs, so that is going to, be a factor. Dallas Cowboys are first in points per game. San Francisco is 6th. Dallas scores about 6.1 more points per game. Dallas scores 6.1 more points per game compared to San Francisco. And Dallas also has a slight edge in third down conversion. Now, the big difference here comes on the defense. The San Francisco defense is just much better than Dallas. Yards per game there, San Francisco is 5th compared to 21st for Dallas. Passing yards, San Francisco is 6th compared to 20th for Dallas. Rushing yards, they're 7th compared to 16th for Dallas. The only categories that Dallas has a better defense in is points per game and stopping third downs. But you know what they say? They say that defense wins championships. And although I do think Dallas has a lot of firepower, I think Dallas is a more exciting team, and maybe in my heart I would prefer Dallas to win. I think that San Francisco defense is going to shine in the playoffs, and I think that defense is going to shut down Dallas to a degree that might surprise some people. Oh, I have to go back to my NFL head-to-head records. I dropped it. Okay, so I'm selecting San Francisco in that matchup. But now we have a big one, the Cardinals versus the Rams. And we know these are teams who played each other. They played each other. This game doesn't count. This January game doesn't count, but they played each other twice this season. In October 3rd and December 13th. Cardinals, Rams, they split the season series this season. First game went to the Cardinals 37-20. Second game went to the Rams 30-23. But if you combine the scores, then it is 50 for the Rams, 57 for the Cardinals. So that's very close. The Cardinals still win, but they're winning by 1 touchdown. However, you'll notice that Matthew Stafford, he has 5 passing touchdowns against the Cardinals, and Murray only has 2 against the Rams. So the Rams might be pretty good at particularly stopping Kyler Murray through the air. Then let's go and look at the this here. Obviously, LA Rams, they finished first, 12-5-0 compared to 11-6-0 for the Rams. Yards per game, that favors Arizona, but passing yards favors Rams. Although Arizona's a much better rushing team compared to LA. However, LA puts up more total points, and the Cardinals convert more third downs. Yards per game, that goes in favor of Arizona. Passing yards, that goes in favor of Arizona. Rushing yards goes in favor of the Rams. On defense, it's all defense. Points per game goes in favor of Arizona. Third down percentage goes in favor of Arizona. Now I know that the Cardinals, they've had some challenges in their last few games, and the Rams are kind of rolling right now. Up until that San Francisco game, they just lost. I think they had won like 3 or 4 in a row or something like that. So I think like the easy money might be to pick the Rams. But I originally predicted Arizona making some noise, and this is tough. This is actually really tough. Passing, yeah, the Rams. But I'm going Arizona. I'm picking the Cardinals to win that matchup. I'm picking the Cardinals. And finally, we get to the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's load them up into the matchup history. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Scoreboard view. Okay. They played each other one time this season. The Buccaneers won by 6. Tom Brady put up 182 more yards than Hurts. One more touchdown. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a much better record than the Eagles. 13-4-0 compared to 9-8-0. Tom Brady has nearly 30 more touchdowns than Jalen Hurts. And if you look at the offense, yards per game, that's Tampa. Passing yards, that's Tampa. Points per game, that's Tampa. Third down percentage, that's Tampa. The only place that the Eagles have an edge is in rushing. Their rushing yards is first in the entire league, which is kind of a shock for me seeing that, to be honest. But then when it comes to defense, that favors Philly on yards per game. That favors Philly on passing yards. Rushing yards, that goes in favor of Tampa. Points per game, that goes to Tampa. Third down percentage, that goes to Tampa. I do think that Philadelphia defense could maybe cause some trouble for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if they're dialed in. But really at this point, I think the Eagles are just too young, too inexperienced. Jalen Hurts, I don't think is good enough on offense yet to lead a team like this in the playoffs. And really, it's idiotic to bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs. It's the stupidest thing you can do. So I think the easy money is to go Buccaneers. And if my predictions are correct, then the divisional matchups in the NFC would be the 49ers versus the Packers and the Cardinals versus the Buccaneers. And I think that if these are the 4 games we get coming out of this wildcard round, I think a lot of people will be really happy with these matchups. And I think these would be extremely, extremely exciting games to watch in the next round of the playoffs. So, let's see if I'm correct. Hopefully I am. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. And another sip of Diet Coke. So there you have it, guys. Those are my predictions for the wild card round of the NFL playoffs. Please leave your predictions or any comments on mine in the comments down below. I'd love to hear any feedback that you guys have. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this every single day. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.